Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic. A staple of science fiction is the starship, the vessel our characters explore and go on adventures throughout space with. It's also one of my favorite aspects of science fiction. I love analyzing the designs of them, the scale in which starship would win in a fight against the other. One of my favorites in science fiction is the Enterprise D. It is a classic and a very iconic looking ship. Also, it is one of the most comfortable and posh looking starships ever. It is like a luxury hotel in space, with its brightly lit bridge, corridors, and large rooms, equipped with food replicators and holodecks. I can't think of any other ship in science fiction I'd like to take a weeks-long space cruise on. It's warm and safe, like heaven in space. However, not all starships in science fiction are like the Enterprise D. There are those ships that are the complete opposite. And to even board these vessels, you do so at the risk of your own sanity and life. Dark and foreboding. They are like hell in space, the stuff of nightmares. So that is what this top 5 is all about. My top 5 scariest starships. These are my picks based on the shows and other media I've consumed over the years. Also, there will be 5 honorable mentions that will not be in any specific order. Now, let's get into it. Number 5. Starting things off is the strange UFO in the 1993 film Fire in the Sky. Now, whether you believe the story of Travis Walton's close encounter is another matter. Fire in the Sky is a solid sci-fi movie that quickly switches gears from a film about the authorities trying to uncover some suspected fraudsters to a horror film, when Travis Walton has flashbacks to his time aboard the mysterious alien craft. We never get to see the entirety of this vessel, but what we do see looks ominous as all hell, with no windows of any kind and crimson hellfire smoke from the bottom. It doesn't look like anything you'd want to approach. Also, we can't be certain if this is the main ship, some kind of automated probe or scout vessel. The interior of the ship is even worse, as Travis awakens to find himself inside a strange catacomb that has the remains of human bodies. The ship is dimly lit and looks like it was grown instead of built, as nothing has a straight line. The nightmare for Travis Walton has only begun, as he is taken to a horrific examination room where his alien captors torture him with nightmarish tests. For most of my life, I've had an interest in the subject of alien abductions and UFOs. I've watched documentaries, read books, and listened to hours of podcasts on the subject. And I'll be honest, that interest has cost me more than one night's sleep in my life. When I first saw Fire in the Sky and the design of the alien ship, along with all the scenes of Travis Walton's ordeal on board the craft, I thought it really captured everything scary and creepy about the UFO phenomenon. The scenes of the aliens, aka Greys, doing those horrific experiments on him really creeped me out. So that is why it is on this list. Number 4. The Borg Cube. What makes this ship so scary? Well, the one thing about TNG when it first aired was that the show did a good job of conveying just how advanced and powerful the Enterprise D was. The ship never really met its match until the Season 2 episode Q Who aired in 1989. That we were first introduced to the Borg. When Picard proclaims to Q that he and his crew are ready to take on any unknown out there, Q answers his challenge by sending the Enterprise light years away to an unexplored part of space, where, for the first time, they encounter the Borg, a race of cyborgs that are all linked together through one hive mind. We see that the usual tactics the Enterprise crew use when encountering new species isn't going to work on the Borg. They cannot be reasoned with, bargained with, and they don't feel pity or remorse. Not only that, their technology and ship completely outstripped the Enterprise D. The Enterprise stood no chance of surviving a ship-to-ship battle with the Borg. They couldn't even outrun the Borg cube. I remember seeing this for the first time and thinking, holy shit, the Borg is unstoppable, until finally, out of desperation, Picard has to swallow a hard pill and plead with Q to get them out of there. The Borg vessel was such an opposite to the Enterprise. where the crew lived in comfort. The crew of the Borg vessel all stood in alcoves, linked together in a hive mind. Their vessel looked cold, dark, and industrial, with each member of the crew an unwilling slave that had been assimilated at some point against their will. Being a member of a Borg ship is a fate worse than death. In contrast to the Federation, where its members could be individuals and diversity was celebrated, with the Borg, the individual was erased, and diversity gave way to ultimate uniformity and collectivism. Definitely a ship you don't want to spend any time on. Now, at first, this ship isn't really scary, but the idea of it works its way into your subconscious over time, where on more than one occasion I've had nightmares, where I step out of my house at night, look up to the sky, and see it filled with a Borg cube. Number 3. Next up we have the USG Ishimura from the 2008 video game Dead Space. When Isaac Clarke joins a search and rescue team bound to the Ishimura, they had gone radio silent after Isaac had received a message from his girlfriend Nicole, who was on board. After the rescue team's shuttle suffers damage while trying to dock with the Ishimura, Isaac is forced to explore the vessel to find a way off and find Nicole, where he then encounters all manner of horrors, as the ship is overrun by necromorphs. First off, I love the design of the ship. It has a skeletal look to it, like it is the remains of some sort of prehistoric sea creature. Unlike the other ships on this list, you really get to explore this one, as you spend hours playing through the game, and it makes for a great horror setting. As it's malfunctioning, with darkened corridors and dead bodies everywhere, at any moment some nightmare-inducing monster can attack you from any dark corner. The one thing that always stood out to me about this game is the cult that had committed what looked like ritualistic suicide, with that creepy version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star being played in the background. With monsters trying to kill you, and a crazy scientist also on board, it'll take all your engineering skills, wits, to survive, find your girlfriend, and escape this nightmare ship. In my opinion, having this ship on this list is a no-brainer. I have loved survival horror games for years, and the Ishimura is a great setting for one. You'll really feel all alone on this haunted and darkened ship. Roaming the hallways during hours of gameplay really gets in your head. This ship would be right at home in the alien universe. Number 2. The Event Horizon from the 1997 film of the same name. The experimental vessel, the Event Horizon, sets out on its maiden voyage to test its gravity drive, that if successful, will take humanity out of the solar system and out to the rest of the galaxy. The Event Horizon sets its course for Proxima Centauri, engaged its gravity drive to fold space, and vanished. Then, 7 years later, it reappeared in a decaying orbit around Neptune, sending out a distress signal. The rescue vessel Lewis and Clark is sent to investigate, and joining their crew is the designer of the Event Horizon, Dr. William Weir. What they find is that the Event Horizon had traveled to a dimension of pure chaos, and one we could only define as hell. It drove the original crew insane, causing them to murder each other. Not only that, something came back with the Event Horizon, some unknown evil entity that now possesses the very ship itself. This is a fantastic horror sci-fi film, and I love the design of the Event Horizon. It has a gothic look to its design. Also, it was designed on purpose in the shape of a cross. Its hull plating looks almost black or gray. The interiors of the ship is just as scary. As you watch the film a few times, you can catch more details, like dead bodies stretched and splattered over the hull. However, my favorite set piece of the ship is the engine room that houses the ship's gravity drive. It looks totally otherworldly and like something straight out of Hellraiser, with its spiked sphere-shaped room and the drive itself a rotating sphere at the center. What really makes this ship scary is that it is possessed and seems alive. So the evil trying to kill our characters is unseen and unknown. Also, the place the ship went when it activated its drive is left a mystery. It's explained enough that we get the general concept, but unknown enough that we can still wonder at what it was like. That always makes something more scary. Number 1. The Derelict from the 1979 film Alien. The commercial space tug Nostromo encounters what is believed to be a distress signal while on its way home to Earth. The ship automatically diverted to the origin point of the signal, and its 7 crew members are awakened from hypersleep prematurely by the ship's main computer called Mother. Despite protests from the engineering crew, Parker and Brett, they have no choice but to investigate the signal as part of their company contract. The signal is originating from a nearby moon, and the Nostromo lands to investigate. Captain Dallas with crew members Kane and Lambert go out in spacesuits to find the source of the signal, which turns out to be a crashed alien derelict ship. While investigating the inside of the vessel, Kane discovers a chamber filled with some kind of eggs. When trying to get a better look at one, an alien parasite jumps out of the egg and attaches itself to Kane's face. They return to the Nostromo, and despite arguments from Ripley, Captain Dallas breaks quarantine protocol and enters the ship, bringing Kane to sickbay. Finding it impossible to remove the parasite from Kane's face, it eventually falls off on its own. Kane seems to be fine, but during dinner, Kane starts to go into convulsions, and a creature erupts from his chest, killing him. A horrific alien monster that is now aboard the Nostromo and begins killing its crew. The signal that was thought to be a distress call turns out to be a warning signal to keep away. Now, this has been robbed of some of its mystery and somewhat watered down by the Alien prequels. However, it is still the scariest ship in my books, as this ship and the Alien scared the shit out of me as a kid. The scenes on board this ship was pure nightmare fuel for me. It was a complete unknown at the time. It was completely alien and looked like it was grown and not built. Also, who was the alien in that chair? It would become known as the space jockey. And why were they keeping all those eggs on board? What other horrors could have been dormant aboard this ship that looked like it was made of rib cages? It was truly a frightening place to be. Now, we can't talk about this ship without mentioning artist H.R. Giger, who designed it along with the Alien itself. His artwork and this movie had a huge impact on science fiction, some of them being on this list, like the game Dead Space and the film Event Horizon. Giger's signature style of painting biomechanical is horrific and beautiful all at the same time. His art style would go on to inspire countless other artists over the years. His style would even influence Star Trek, as the Borg would take on a more biomechanical, Giger-esque look in Star Trek First Contact. I've watched Alien countless times over the years, and its ability to scare me has long since faded. However, this ship as a set piece for a sci-fi horror movie has yet to be matched. Even Ridley Scott himself failed to do so with the Alien prequels. That is why it is number 1 on my list. Honorable mentions. The mining vessel Caliban from the 2014 comic miniseries Caliban. Another great setting for a horror story. If you like Dead Space, Alien, and Event Horizon, then this comic book series is a natural fit. Not as scary as any of those, and the ship's design isn't as good, however, still worthy of a mention. The Shadow Vessels from the television series Babylon 5. Being a huge B5 fan, I would have liked to put these on the top 5, but they were always just mysterious and powerful. They never came off as particularly frightening to me. Still, you wouldn't want to cross paths with one in deep space. The Nostromo from Alien. Now, the setting of the Nostromo is a good one to have an alien monster let loose, killing the crew, but the Derelict is really the scary ship of that film. The industrialized, used look of the Nostromo does give it a creepy and ominous vibe. The Interstellar Ark Elysium from the 2009 film Pandorum. A really bizarre design for a ship, but it is a hell-like maze. Another scary ship that you just wouldn't want to spend any time on. Solid sci-fi horror flick that if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. The 150-mile-long alien starship from the 1985 film Life Force. Another odd design for a ship. Not nearly as scary as the others on this list, and its internals are on the cheesy side. I wouldn't say this film is scary at all, but it is one crazy science fiction horror film. Totally worth a mention. Well, that's my top 5 scariest starships and 5 honorable mentions. Let me know what your picks would be. So that's everything I have to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.